Okay, just it is taking some time. All right, so we are live here. Huh? Okay, fine. Okay. So I will start from this slide. Product life cycle. Product life cycle. So actually, the main concern of PMBOK is about project life cycle. What is the project life cycle and how do we maintain the project life cycle? But in PMBOK, there is also mention of product life cycle. Product means when you are creating a product or we are introducing a product in the market, for example, any biscuit product or any chocolate product or any car. Say Toyota has created a car, a new brand car for the market, and it first what happens for the product? First, it was a concept, a new brand or model of car. So first that was concept, then it is created and it is delivered in the market. Then in the market it actually starts growing, and it doesn't grow endlessly. At some time it reach at maturity level. All right, and then at some time it actually retire from the market. All right, expire from the market. So this happens generally in every product cycle, every product life cycle. So if I draw graphically, so if this is the time, all right, so what happens? The product actually start growing at some state is actually mature. When it matured, then it actually extended the line, and after some time it start declining. The demand for that product becomes less in the market, and after some time it actually retired from the market. It is no longer available in the market because the demands actually falls down. So generally we see this is the general product life cycle. First concept, then delivery for the market or for the customer, then it grows in the market, then mature, then retirement. Okay, so this is not very important, but you have to understand to compare the project life cycle with the product life cycle.
Majority.
Yes, majority of the products follow this life cycle.
Total become the product will become a majority.
Maturity. Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I have a question about the majority. I understand the concept and delivery and the growth. Majority.
Maturity means, have you seen the graph? Maturity means it is growing at sometime it actually matured in the market, and then actually it is not increasing. The demand is the same for a long time. Okay, so that period is known as maturity. And after that it has start declining. And lastly it actually expire or retire from the market. Who is calling me?
Excuse me, Shahid Bhai. Shahid Bhai. You have mentioned here project life cycles are independent of product life cycles. What does it mean actually? Project life cycles are independent of product life cycle.
Those two are two separate things, not the same thing. Product life cycle is talking about product, and project life cycle is talking about project.
But is there any relation between the project life cycle and the product life cycle? Of course, there is a relation, but how it can be absolutely independent or sometimes independent of product life cycle?
For understand the concept,
yeah,
you have to think it independently. But what happens in a product life cycle? In a product life cycle, as I mentioned earlier, in an operational life cycle, projects sometimes intersect. Similarly,
right.
in a product life cycle, project intersects.
Yeah.
Sometimes intersects.
Yes.
For example, when the project say we have tried to introduce a car in the market, so that is in the concept stage. So at that time, actually, project P1 actually initiated for building that product. Then maybe after some time, we have actually remodeled some part of the project, part of the car, or may the model of the engine is improved. So through another project P2, we actually do the improvement for that car, for the same model, same brand. So this way, projects sometimes intersect product lifecycle. All right, so this is the relation between project lifecycle and product lifecycle. But definition-wise, two are separate things.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, now let's talk about project phase. What is project phase? So if we see the definition of project lifecycle, what I mentioned, project lifecycle is the collection of phases. For example, in a construction project, if this is the timeline of the project, what we do, we actually divide the project into different phases. Say in phase 1, we are doing the design part. In phase 2, maybe we are doing the piling part. And in phase 3, maybe we are doing the, foundation part. And so on. So this is actually known as phases. And the collection of phases is the project life cycle. All right. So, and this phase thing is not actually common for every industry or every project. In construction project, this is the names are different. Different name of the phases are used. In IT projects or software projects or other kind of projects, maybe the names are different. And there is no guidance or no standard that every project have certain number of phases. There can be different number of phases in different projects. These are the phase attributes. That means every phase has some name. For example, design is a name of that phase. Then sometimes we use number for the phase. This is phase number 1, this is phase number 2, this is phase number 3. And every phase actually has some duration, 1 month phase or 6 month phase, 4 month phase. So every phase actually associated with some duration. And to do the phases, you need resource. And when we will start a phase, then there will be some entrance criteria. For example, if you not finish the design part, then you cannot start the piling part. So these are the entrance criteria for the second phase. Exit criteria. When do we understand that this phase is complete? There will be some criteria or acceptance criteria or other things that will indicate that our phase is completed. So that is known as exit criteria. So these are known as phase attributes. Generally, projects is divided into phases, and every phase consists of this kind of attributes to represent those phases. Important thing is phase can be sequential. For some projects, maybe phase can be sequential. Once concept is done, then design, then development, then implementation, serially. But in some project, we can use phases that can overlap. So when we have not finished, yes, you see, you have not finished the concept, but we started designing. We have not completed the designing, but we have started development. So overlapping is happening here. So project phase can be two types. One is sequential and another one is overlapping or parallel. So these two kind of phases we can see in the projects.
Shoaib bhai,
yes.
We have a project actually we call it phase 1, climate change adaptation urban development project program, phase 1. And this phase 1 itself a project. So any phase can be itself a project.
No, that is not always true. Huh?
Yeah.
What will
We have every component of the project in that phase, and that phase itself a project.
Then you should say that that is a sub-project. That is not a phase. We are talking phase as the sub-part of a project, subdivision or division of the project. Okay.
But officially it is named phase 1. Officially the project name is Climate Change Adaptation Urban Development Project phase 1. Officially it is named. And we are implementing every components of the project, but partially every component. So when we will complete partially every component of the project, then we will launch the second phase of the project. But it has every components, not planning, not designing. We have initiating, planning, designing, organizing, controlling, monitoring. Every process group is involved with that phase.
Then you can say, we'll see here, phase, say phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. The concept you are talking about, I will discuss that later on. Huh? Just now,
okay.
Understand the definition only. You are actually going ahead. You are talking about process groups. I will show that relationship with the phase and process groups. All right, the initiating, planning, that thing, how that actually incorporate in a phase, that I will show later on. All right.
Okay.
Just definition wise, one, for the better controlling of the project, management of the project, we actually divide the project into different phases. All right. So this is the simple definition. The question you are asking, that I will discuss later on.
Okay.
All right. So another definition we need to understand, that is phase gate. What is phase gate? Phase gate is held at the end of a phase. When we are completing, say there are 3 phases in our project. So when we are completing one phase, that end part is known as phase gate. Sometimes it's also known as milestone. And it is also named as the same thing. The phase gate is also known as phase review, stage gate, kill point, phase entrance, or phase exit point. All right, so phase gate is what? Phase gate is the end of a phase. Why this is important? Because at that time, we actually try to analyze so far what we achieved, what we did, and the activities, works we have planned for these phases, are they completed or not? And also at that point, we also see whether we have everything in our hand so that we can start the second phase. All right. So that's why this phase gate is very important. Can anyone tell me why this is also known as kill point? Can anyone tell me why this is also known as kill point?
I can try. I can try.
Yeah, please.
Because this is the actually decision, go, no go decision maybe. Yeah. If the phase 1 is not successfully completed, the management can go for decision to stop the project. So sometimes this is the management decision. So this is the kill point, whether we will launch or not. So this is the go or no go decision can be happen here. That's why this is the kill point. Maybe so far I know.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So your understanding is clear. Okay. It is right. Huh? So this is known as kill point because we have to decide whether so far what we did, is it with creating the business value that we have targeted. If not, then management or sponsor can stop or kill the project at that moment. at that phase. So that's why it is known as kill point.
But Shoaib bhai,
Bolo.
but there is some difference between the phase, gate, and milestone, because completing a milestone, we cannot go for the second phase. But phase and milestone is different actually, because phase has many components and it looks like a project, but milestone just a significant component of the project. But phase can't be milestone, so far I understand. Would you please explain?
No need to explain here. So milestone is not an important word, and don't take it that seriously. Just milestone is we have completed some huge thing in this phase. That's why I am saying milestone.
Okay,
it's not
actually phase is not maybe milestone.
So about milestone, what is milestone? I will talk in schedule chapter.
Yes.
So let me add something here. In phase gate is the decision point. What kind of decision it can give? Whether we will continue to the next phase, with modification, end the project because maybe we have not achieved the business goal, remain in the same phase. The work we have planned, say we have planned to get 100 activities done, but only 90 or 80 activities done. So we have to remain in the phase. Repeat the phase or elements of it. Management can also decide whether we will repeat the same thing again or not. That can also happen in some projects. So this is the decision point. Okay, now I will talk about three things. The whole PMBOK, as I discussed and mentioned earlier, there are three things in whole PMBOK. One is project management processes. Can you remember how many processes in PMBOK? There are 49 processes. 49 processes in PMBOK, 5 process groups,
10
knowledge areas. So now this is the very important. Next 10-15 minutes or 20 minutes, I will discuss about the core understanding of PMBOK. What is process groups? Where from it comes? Where from it came? The process groups, and what is 10 knowledge areas? What are the 10 knowledge areas? And what is the importance of 10 knowledge areas? And 49 processes. So, and I will show you the relationship between all these 5 process groups, 10 knowledge areas, and 49 processes. So before starting the definition of processes, let me talk about the making a cup of tea. Can you remember? I have started this class, this chapter with a question: how can we make a cup of tea? All right. So you need to help me to make a hot cup of tea. So what do we need? So our target is to make a cup of tea, right?
Yeah.
So this is actually output. This is the output. Our target is to make a hot cup of tea. So what are the inputs we need to make this one cup of tea? What are the inputs we need?
Tea, sugar, water.
Right, water, sugar, then tea bag, na? Tea bag. These are the inputs. Milk. If you use milk, you can use milk. So these are the inputs, right? Now we also need some tools.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Otherwise, we cannot make a cup of tea. So what are the tools we need? Say cup is a tool. Spoon is a tool, right?
Spoon, heater.
Cup, spoon, heater, na? Water heater or fire. Then
kettle.
Kettle. So these are the tools. All right. Then what else we need? We have inputs, we have tools, we have output. another thing we need that is actually known as technique. Technique means method. How do we make a cup of tea? What is the process? What is the way of doing or making a cup of tea? That is known as technique. So you know, in Sylhet or Sri Mongol, there are some people who are making tea with 10 layers or 8 layers. No, we heard that. No? Yes. Anyone have taken 10-layer tea or 8-layer tea? Anyone here have taken 8-layer tea?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, Shaheen, all right. So, Shaheen, can you make 8-layer tea? Do you know the technique?
No, sir.
No. So actually what happens? They are using the same inputs, same tools, but they are using some technique. That's why they can make actually 8-layer or 10-layer teas. All right. So technique is also very important to get the exact output. So this total thing, what I am explaining here, I am explaining a process. What is the name of the process? Making a cup of tea. So when we are talking about a process, so to understand what is project, what is process, we are seeing that in a process there are 3 components. One is input, another one is tool and techniques, and third one is
output.
So these 3 things for every process, any process you do. I have given a simple example of making a cup of tea. Any process you do, that is a professional or in manufacturing company or anywhere you do any process, you will see these 3 components. So this is known is the process. So what is process? Process is taking some input, and on that input you have to apply some techniques. You have to use some tools and techniques on that input to produce the targeted output. This thing is known as process. So PMBOK actually discussed about 49 processes. All right. And if we follow that 49 process, so what is PMBOK is targeting? PMBOK is targeting or forcing us to implement processes. If we can be more process oriented, we can manage projects more successfully. So that's why PMBOK is focusing on processes and trying to make us process oriented. And in the whole PMBOK, you will see it talk about 49 processes. And for every process, it will discuss what are the inputs required, what are the tools and techniques required, and what are the outputs we get from each of these 49 processes. So that is, in short, known as ITTO. ITTO, input, tool, techniques, outputs. All right. So this is the concept of process. Now let me talk about process groups. So how many we joined till now? 7. Where are others? Shaheen and another guy was Shahinur. Failed to join. Because this is very important concept. If anyone missed this, I think I afraid he can understand the later lectures.
This is the core. This is the core of PMBOK.
Yeah, this is the core of PMBOK. Sadman, you are listening, I guess. Yeah, okay. So I actually need everyone's focus. Mo apni to achen thik moto na?
Ji bhai achi.
Okay, so 49 process. Now let's talk about 5 process groups. Where from it comes? What are 5 process groups? So if you think about any project, any small project, big project, any project from any industry, you will see a pattern. You will see a common pattern, generalized pattern in every project. What is the pattern? In a project, I am drawing a line here. In a project, we have some activity. There is beginning or initiation, and in initiation we do different kind of activities like taking approval from the management, getting the budget, then who will be the project manager, deciding on that, who will be your PIC, project implementation committee, then PSC, project steering committee. So those are the things we do at initiation stage. After initiation, what we do in every project, right? Any project you did, you can find this pattern. Second thing is planning. Planning. How do you do the job, do the project? So planning is the second pattern we see in any project. Even in our day-to-day life, small work we do, we actually do the planning, right? And one thing, please keep in your mind, in PMBOK, every time in PMBOK, one of the core thing of PMBOK is without planning, you should not do anything. Plan first, then do. All right. This is the general guideline of PMBOK. You should plan for anything you execute. Without planning, you should not do or execute anything. So this is the general guideline of PMBOK. So first thing, second thing is planning. After planning is done, third thing is execution. That means now we'll do the actual work. We'll follow the plan and we'll execute the works, activities. And fourth thing is actually monitoring and control. Monitoring on control. This is in Agile, it is known as inspection. Inspection and adapt. INA. Inspection and adapt. That means we have to monitor and control whether we are following the plan exactly or not. Then also we have to consider and evaluate whether the planning was okay or not. Is there any need of change of the initial plan? If there is any need of that, then that we'll find from here, monitoring and control. So that will actually find out the deviation between the planning and the execution. And finally, last thing is closing. That means we have produced the targeted product, service or result. Everything is on our hand and we have delivered it to the customer. So now we have to do some formal work, administrative work to close the project. So these are the 5 things or pattern we see in every project. In every project, it is in construction project, it is in healthcare, everywhere. So this is known as the process group in PMBOK. This 5 is known as process group in PMBOK. All right. So every project we do that follow a pattern. That is, we do first initiation or beginning, then planning, then executing, then monitoring, controlling, then closing. So these 5 things are known as process groups in PMBOK. Now let me talk about last thing, the knowledge area. So to discuss this knowledge area thing, I am actually sharing my whiteboard. So there are 10 knowledge areas, right? Let me draw this. So say this is the project. This is the project. So every project, take any project, say Padma project. Padma project is a big project of Bangladesh, or any project you can consider here. So we are talking about a project. So when we talk about a project, first thing comes in our mind is what we are going to get from this project. That what thing was known as a scope. All right. What we are going to do. That what thing is known as a scope of the project. So for Padma project, what is the scope? Main scope is the bridge over Padma river. So that is the main scope. In addition to that, there are other scopes also. So first is we have to define the scope. What are we going to do? That is known as a scope. Second thing is how much time, right? How much time we need to achieve that scope. How much time or schedule we need to deliver this scope. That is known as time or schedule. All right. Third one is for doing this project, how much cost or budget we need. ঠিক আছে? কত টাকা পয়সা লাগবে? How much money we need. So that is cost. Fourth one is quality. Silent my phone. I am getting some phone calls. Okay, sorry. So fourth thing is quality. So only doing the scope within the time, within the budget is not enough. We have to deliver quality product, quality service, right? If you don't provide quality, then that product, that service will not be sustainable and customer will not accept, right? So we have to consider the quality part. So these four are actually very technical part of project. Then fifth one is resource. Resource plus resource economy. I am writing here also HR, human resource or people. So fifth important thing is resource. Any project you do, you have to use some resource. That can be people resource, that can be material resource, or directly you can use cost or money. So this is the fifth aspect of a project. Then sixth one is communication. Sixth one is what? Communication. That means to make a project successful, you have to do a lot of communications with your stakeholders, within your team. All right, among and between the stakeholders. So even in PMBOK, it is mentioned that 90% of project managers' time is communication. So if you don't make good communication in the project with the stakeholders, you cannot make a project successful. So that is why communication is very, very important for making a project success. Then what are the risks? The plan we did, if that doesn't happen, if wrong things happen, if any risk comes, then how we will manage that? So that's why risk is also a very important component to make a project successful. So communication, then risks. Then another thing is procurement. We are talking about resource, right? So every resource you will not get from your organization. You have to purchase or you have to procure from the outside, from the market, from the vendor or supplier. So that is procurement management, right? And last but not the least is a stakeholder. A stakeholder. What is a stakeholder? Can anyone say what is a stakeholder?
Those have directly and indirectly affected to the project.
Yes, anyone affected by the project, he is a stakeholder. So this is partially correct. Main definition is a stakeholder is the person, individual, or a organization or institute who is having any impact on the project, or who is impacted by the result of the project. He or she or that organization or group is known as stakeholders. So anyone having any interest on the project or anyone is impacted by the outcome or result of the project, all are stakeholders. All right. So stakeholders are one of the key part of project management. If you cannot manage your stakeholders, there is no way to make a project success. There is no way to make your project successful. So you have to satisfy your stakeholders. Even if you see in your family life, your husband or your wife, your kids. So if you cannot, all these are stakeholders. All these are your stakeholders. If you cannot manage your stakeholders, you will not having a good family life. Similarly, if you cannot manage the stakeholders of a project, it is very, very difficult to get result from the project, and satisfying your customers it quite impossible. So have you seen this? Have you seen this? So how many thing I discussed? This is one, scope. Second thing is time. Third is cost. Fourth is quality. Fifth is resource. Sixth is communication. Seventh, risks. 8 is procurement. 9 is what?
Stakeholder.
Stakeholders. Last one is project integration. I am writing this in the middle. Integration means coordinating, unifying, uniting all these 9 aspects of the project. That is known as integration management. That is known as integration. So if you cannot integrate everything, all these 9 aspects and the processes, 5 process groups, 49 processes, if you cannot integrate everything, you cannot make the project successful. So integration management is the 10th point, 10th thing. All right. So these are the 10 aspects you will see in every project.
Please tell me integration.
Yeah? Integration. What is integration, right? So let me give you an example. Say in a construction project, there is one team is mixing up sand and cement for piling, and another team is making what I said, the iron rod frames. The rod frames will be there, and then you will give the cement and sand on that rod frames. Okay, so what will happen? What happens if the team who are actually responsible for creating the cement part, mixing of the cement, sand and cement, if without coordinating with the rod laborers who are actually making the frames, and before that, if they do this, what will happen? After half an hour, this cement will be freeze. You cannot use that. But without happening this, you have to first complete this, then you have to do this, right? So if there is no integration, if there is no coordination among the teams, then you cannot get the result. So integration management is coordination, making of coordination of all the activities of the project. If you cannot make the proper coordination, proper sequencing, proper integration, then actually you cannot get result. আমি যদি এটা বাংলায় একটু বলি, এটার বাংলা প্রজেক্ট ইন্টিগ্রেশন ম্যানেজমেন্ট হচ্ছে সামগ্রিক সমন্বয়। হ্যাঁ, প্রজেক্টের সামগ্রিক সমন্বয় করা। ঠিক আছে শাহিন?
জি স্যার।
ওকে, আচ্ছা আনিস ভাই, you raise your hand.
I raised my hand because as the integration is very important, it comes to the center of the project, but
Right.
as well as communication also is everywhere. So
Right.
my consideration, communication management should come also in the center of the project, because communication is everywhere. You know, project manager
right.
is engaged with 20% of his time to manage the time projects. So this is my point actually.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So what is knowledge area actually? Knowledge area is the aspects, the aspects of project that you have to consider, you have to focus, you have to follow throughout the project life cycle. You cannot ignore anything. You cannot ignore any of these points, of these aspects. If you ignore anything, you cannot get the actual project output. So that's why these 10 aspects, things, or areas or discipline, you have to focus on every project. All right. So from there, actually, knowledge area, the idea of knowledge areas come up. All right. So any question here? Any question?
No, sir.
Anis bhai, any question? So I'm saving this so that you can get that. All right. All right. So I am going back. Now I have a question here. I have a question for you. So this is general knowledge areas, right? In every project, any project you do in any industry, this is the general things you will see, general knowledge areas, general 10 aspects in every project you will see. Scope, time, cost, quality, risks, common. But can you say one thing? Is there any additional knowledge area aspect we have to have in any project, or these 10 will sufficient?
Can I speak, please?
Yeah.
Maybe lesson learned with the related project, you know, because if you want to launch a project, we should have the knowledge with the related project that we call maybe lesson learned from the projects, maybe.
Okay, that's right. So anyone have any idea what I asked? I am asking that we have already known about 10 knowledge areas. And we have seen that this is common for every project. Every project you will see these 10 knowledge areas. My question is there any extra knowledge, additional knowledge area we need to consider for any project?
Strategy, sir. Strategy plan.
Let me give you example. Say I am a IT person. Huh? I am IT person. So when I am doing an IT project, this 10 knowledge will be there. 10 knowledge areas will be there. But in addition to that, I have to have IT domain knowledge, right? I have to know coding, I have to know database, I have to know internet. So these are the separate knowledge areas or domains, knowledge areas that I have to be expert. Otherwise, I cannot, only with these 10 knowledge areas, I cannot actually execute the project. Similarly, construction project. If that is a construction project, there are a lot of things from engineering side, construction side, that I don't know actually. So that domain knowledge or subject matter expertise or knowledge areas, you have to add with these 10 knowledge areas. Otherwise, you cannot achieve that project success. Okay. So these 10 knowledge areas are common for every project, whether you do an aerospace project, you do a satellite project, or you do a construction project. Everywhere, these 10 knowledge areas is common. But in addition to that, in which domain you are doing the project, that domain's knowledge area or knowledge you have to have to make your project successful for that domain or for that industry. Okay, so 49 processes. What are the 49 processes? I will discuss later on. Okay, so I discuss about the cup of tea, how to make a cup of tea. Then I also discuss about inputs to techniques and output. So this chart or this table you will see throughout the project. There are 49, this table you will see 49. For every process you will find these IT tools. All right. So for each process, we will see this table or chart associated throughout the PMBOK. And I think process groups already discussed. We discussed about process groups, right? Now, have you seen this? This one, process groups are independent of project phases. Process groups are independent of project phases. What does it mean? That means process groups. How many process groups are there?
5.
5 process groups. Process groups and project phase is not the same thing. These two are separate things. Okay. If, for example, you are doing a project, for example, UNDP doing a project which the target of the project is poverty elevation from 60 villages of Bangladesh. Poverty elevation from 60 villages of Bangladesh. So this is the project. So what they do, they will divide that project in 3 phases. For example, I am giving just example: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And for instance, the first phase they will do the survey part. In 60 villages, they will run survey to understand why people are poor and how to recover them or elevate the poverty from those villages. So they will do the survey. In next phase, they will do the R&D. They will research on that data, on that primary and secondary data, and they will develop some project or idea how to remove or elevate the poverty. So this is the second phase. Third phase, say pilot project. Then they will run, for example, out of 60 villages, maybe they will run pilot project in 5 villages based on their research and development. So that is phase 3. So you see, one project, there are 3 phases. And in phase 1, this is a big phase, right? Survey, 60 villages you will survey, maybe it will take 2 years. This will take another 1 year, and pilot project will take another 1 year. So total project length is 4 years. And phase 1 taking 2 years, phase 2 taking 1 year, and phase 3 is taking 3 years, another 1 year. So what will happen when you will do this phase? For this phase, you have to do the initiation activity, right? Then you have to have the planning for this phase. Then you have to have the execution for this phase. Then monitoring control. Then closing of that phase. When this, so what we are seeing in a single phase, the 5 process groups are used here. Again, when you will start this phase, again initiation will happen, then planning, then execution, then monitoring control, and then closing, right? So for each phase, the 5 process groups can happen repeatedly. So that's why actually process groups are not project phases. All right. So this is the concept and the difference between process groups and phases and relation between these two concepts. Okay, so let me talk about what are the 5 process groups and what we do in the 5 process groups. I have already discussed. In initiation, we take approval, we get budget, we select the project manager and other team. Then we will see here in as per the guideline of PMBOK, we actually create project charter here. Project charter. Project charter means the document through which the project is officially started. That is known as project charter. Then we do the planning. In planning process group, we plan for everything. What will be our scope? What will be our time? When we will do what? What are the activities? WBS. Then budgeting plan, resource plan, risk plan, everything we will do in planning process groups. And in execution, we will follow the planning, follow the activities that we planned. Then in monitoring and control, we inspect and adapt. And in closing process group, finally, we will hand over the result or product or service to the customers or the right stakeholders. So this is the activity of 5 process groups. So in PMBOK, you will, in different places, you will see this figure. So have you seen the relation between all the process groups? So if this is the life cycle, this is the project life cycle, PLC, right? This is the PLC. So in a project life cycle, what do we see? Initiation process groups, after initiating planning process groups, and you see then following plan, we are executing. Can anyone say why this is vice versa? Planning, then you are executing again from execution planning. Why this is drawn like this? Any idea?
স্যার মেবি প্ল্যানিং যেটা প্ল্যানিং করব সে অনুযায়ী যদি আমার কাজটা না হয় দেন আবার প্ল্যানিং করব ওই কাজটা ঠিক
right. So the initial plan always will not give the good result. Maybe there some change needed. So how that we will understand? When you will go to execute, then you will understand, right? So you see, that's why it is actually like this. And finally, when everything will be completed, you will do the closing processes, right? Closing process group. And interesting thing is monitoring and controlling. See, it actually covers everything, right? From initiation to closing. Everything you have to keep in monitoring and evaluation or controlling. All right. So,
Raja bhai.
Yes.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Actually, the project starts with initiating, but in reality, we have a lot of jobs before initiating. That is pre-project period actually.
Right.
So this pre-project period isn't the part of project actually?
No. That is not part of project. That is actually pre-project phase, and there are some activities that is actually discussed in PMBOK. Mainly, we produce 2 documents at that stage. Generally, this is general picture, not following the government rules or other things. That is the general picture. One thing is business case. In private sector, everywhere, when we initiate a project, before that, we have to actually create a business case. Business case means justification of the project. Right. Why we should do this project. That justification is written in business case. So that document known as business case, and another document is known as benefit review plan.
Yeah.
Benefit review plan means that, as we discussed earlier in last 2 classes, that we start a project or initiate a project to create business value. So benefit review plan, this document actually identify what are the benefits or value we are going to generate or get from this project. And after the project, we actually, following that benefit management plan or review plan, we try to identify whether that project actually created that value or benefit or not. So that's why benefit review plan is used. So this document, business case and benefit review plan, these 2 are created before the project.
So can we call the benefit review plan as a study, as a feasibility study?
Yeah, you can say that.
Feasibility study?
Feasibility study, actually, you can, sometimes business case is known as feasibility study or business case. But benefit review plan is different thing. That is actually in business case you have shown. We'll see what will be the part or content of business case. One of the part of business case is the benefits or values. What are we going to create from this project? That will be mentioned here in business case. What are the benefits or values we are going to create? And in benefit review plan, there will be schedule when we are going to get that benefit and who will realize that benefit.
Okay.
And how much we will get benefit when. So those are the things will be in benefit review plan. So these are the 2 separate documents.
In government project, we usually don't have actually business charter. Actually, business case. We usually prepare the DPP, Development Project Proposal.
Proposal or proforma, no?
Proforma or proposal, both are right. Development, when we using the proforma, we prepare the project, then it is development project proposal using the proforma. But we usually don't have business case.
Right.
So we sometimes make feasibility study before the project, and feasibility study forecast cost benefit ratio, situation analysis, even an NPV, IRR,
NPV,
also
IRR, right.
everything, and project components, project outcomes, and costing, everything is mentioned there, proposed there. So
also you use log frame there, no?
A log frame, we usually use log frame, assumption, constraints, risk analysis. But we sometimes use also the CPM, critical path. So like this, is that part of actually the business case feasibility study?
Yes. When I will discuss, you will see in PMBOK actually business case, then benefit review plan, and another document I will discuss that is known as project charter, PC, project charter.
Yeah.
So what I have seen, I have started actually DPP. What I have seen, collection of these three, you will find here in DPP.
Okay.
All right. So these three separate documents, you will see all these content are similar to this DPP.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
So the government projects are already aligned with PMBOK. Maybe they are not using these terms, but the DPP actually, what I have seen, all these three documents content is in DPP.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let me go to the next slide. So you see, this is the same picture, same figure. What is happening here? Business documents. Just we discussed. There are two business documents. One is business case, other one is benefit review plan, right? So these two are business documents. In PMBOK, these two documents are categorized as business documents. So when I am talking about or telling business documents, mention business document, that means I am talking about business case and benefit review plan. So benefit আসলে এটা নিয়ে আরো কথা হবে, হ্যাঁ, we'll talk later. What are the contents of benefit review plan? I will discuss later. In this chapter, we'll get that detail. So see a sponsor. From a sponsor, they actually check the business case and benefit review plan and they approve. After the approval of business case, the project actually get initiated. Without approval of business case for government sector, without approval of the DPP, project cannot be initiated. In private sector, without the approval of business case and benefit review plan, project cannot be initiated. All right. So these are actually what? Pre-project phase. A sponsor is approving, seeing the feasibility study, business case, benefit review plan. After approval, the project is being initiated. Then we are doing the project and finally what we are getting deliverables. That deliverable we are delivering to end users. And we are updating the project records because every project we will get a lot of lesson learned, lot of new files, new documents, a lot of new things we will get. So that will update our organizational knowledge base. This is known as organizational process asset. So these, after doing a project, we will get a lot of project records that will update our organizational process assets. So what is organizational process asset? I will discuss in second chapter, chapter 2.
Shahid bhai.
Yes.
I would like to ask you about sponsor. For government project, sometimes the donor or sometimes the line ministry, government of Bangladesh, allocates the fund or take decision at the top management level. So can we say the line ministry as a sponsor or the donor as a sponsor?
Yes. You can say. So what is the definition of a sponsor? The definition of a sponsor is mainly who is actually sponsoring the project. That means financing for the project. He is the sponsor. So in a private sector organization, what happens? in private sector, for example, CTO, say CTO at the top of the IT department. So any project running in IT department, you will see everywhere CTO is the sponsor. Why CTO is the sponsor? Because all budget actually comes CTO's head, on CTO's head. He is not giving money, but all budget is allocated against CTO. That's why the project is happening under his department. In his department, he is the sponsor. Similarly, as Anis Bhai asked, so that line ministry or that donor will be the sponsor for your project. And there can be more than one sponsor. There are sometimes donors like World Bank is donor, ADB is donor, and also partially Government of Bangladesh is donor. So those three, all three are the sponsor for your project. So this figure is not in PMBOK. In chapter 1, you will not see this figure, but you will see this figure in part 2 of PMBOK. That is not actually part of the exam, but I think this figure we need to understand. That's why I included this. Okay. So what this figure actually talking about? So this is the time, project time, and this is the level of effort, and these are the 5 process group. You see, this is the initiating process groups. So this much level of effort we actually put in initiation process groups. This is the general picture. Maybe in some projects the picture will be different, but I am talking about generalized picture, generalized scenario. And planning, see, after initiation we are doing planning, and planning is also a huge effort. All right, and it goes, not finishes here, it finishes until here. That means different situation, or after monitoring and control, after doing some execution, we may need to change our plan. That's why till here we are changing the plan. And this one, you see the execution. The most effort in any project, where goes actually? In execution. So execution is the maximum effort we are giving or providing on execution. And see, monitoring and control, ever seen? This is the monitoring and control. It started at the beginning and finishes until the end. And closing started here and finished here. So these are the general picture of 5 process groups and how much level of effort we need to provide in each process group that is mentioned here. But this is generalized scenario. It will not exactly the same for every project. Just for getting some idea. Yes.
Shahid bhai?
Bolen.
Hello.
Bolen.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Yes.
Here we can see the execution process drop suddenly. Actually, is it like that? Because execution at the peak, it drops suddenly. But in reality, it go peak, but not drop suddenly. Very steep dropping here.
No, not that is steep. Not that is steep. When we are talking about steep is like this. That is not showing it. This is actually not steep.
Suddenly drop here.
No, not suddenly. Suddenly, when we talk suddenly, this is suddenly.
Okay.
But it is actually smoothly happening smoothly.
Okay.
This is the general picture. This is don't confuse with yourself, because if you draw this picture for your project, it will certainly look different. So 10 knowledge areas, I think we have already understand 10 knowledge areas, and what I discuss here in the whiteboard, you'll see all this here. These 10 knowledge areas. Okay, now we'll go for a break. All right. আচ্ছা, অনেকে বোধহয় জয়েন করলো না রিসেন্টলি, হাসানুজ্জামান জয়েন করলো, আর একজন পরে জয়েন করলো, নাসির ভাই।
জি রেজা ভাই, আমি কিছুক্ষণ আগে 5-7 মিনিট আগে জয়েন করেছি।
আচ্ছা, ওকে, অলরাইট। All right. So now we are going for a 10 minutes break. All right. So after the break, we'll discuss about the most important thing of PMBOK. So please don't miss that. So I will talk about this one. Can you see this? This one. So this table, I will discuss about this table. And this is the heart. This is the heart of PMBOK. This is the heart of PMBOK. So if you can understand this table, half of the understanding of PMBOK will be, concept will be clear. So when I will explain this, it will actually take 10 to 15 minutes. So after break, I will discuss this one. So please join after 10 minutes. তাহলে আমরা ব্রেকে যাচ্ছি, 10 মিনিট পরে জয়েন করব। সবাই একটু ওঠা করে একটু হাঁটাচলা করেন,
ওকে,
মুভ করেন একটু, নাহলে ওকে, বাকিটা কোথায় গেল? সবাই জয়েন করছেন? শাহিন, নাসির ভাই, মৌ, সালমান কোথায় গেল? শাহিন কোথায়? ঠিক আছে না, সবাই আসছি?
জি স্যার।
Alright, so let's see. Let me share this screen. দেখা যাচ্ছে? আচ্ছা, এটা কি দেখা যাচ্ছে না মোটামুটি?
জি স্যার।
রাইট,
গেলে ভালো হয়। আর একটু জুম করা গেলে ভালো হয়। Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা,
Yes, sir.
okay, fine. So I am starting, huh? This is very important, very, very important to understand this matrix table. So any table, we can say that also matrix, right? So let me discuss about this table. So this is table number 1.4, project management process group and knowledge areas. So in this table, we actually see the relationship between 5 process groups, 10 knowledge areas, and 49 processes. All right. So we'll see. So let me explain the table first. So at the top bar, what we are seeing, project management process groups, right? These 5. You see, this is the first one: initiating process group, planning process group, executing process group, monitoring and bottling process group, and closing process group, right? Okay. And at the left, and in the left, what we are seeing, knowledge areas, right? So this is process groups. These are the knowledge areas. So first one, integration management. Second one, scope management. Third one, schedule management, cost management, quality management, resource management. And Let me come down. Quality management, resource management, communication management, risk management, procurement management, and stakeholder management. So have you found all these are the 10 knowledge areas, right?
Right.
Okay, so we are seeing here 10 knowledge areas at the left and 5 process group at the top. And in the middle, if you see from 4.1 to 13.4, total you will find 49 processes. All right. So the whole PMBOK is drawn here actually. So left side is knowledge area and top side is process groups, and in the middle, all 49 processes. All right. Let me make it smaller. So if you see in initiating process groups, how many processes are there? If we add up,
Two.
Two processes.
2 processes. So I am writing this 2. In planning process group, how many?
24.
24. If you add vertically all, you will get 24. Number 24 processes under planning process group. And if you add up number of processes under executing process group, how many?
10.
10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So 10. All right. And in closing, under closing process group, only 1, right?
Only one.
1. So 1. So how many? 24, 2, 26, 36, 37. So in monitoring process group, there will be 12.
12.
Well, yeah.
12 processes. So if you add up all, what you will get?
49.
49 processes. All right. So this is clear, no?
Yes, sir.
In PMBOK, have you seen the number? Generally in table, we start with 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 numbering. But here, the numbering started with number 4. Why? Have you seen the number started with 4?
Yeah. Because chapter 4.
Okay, right. So in PMBOK, I mentioned in the first class, there are 13 chapters, right? 13 chapters. And I talked there, I discussed that from first 3 chapters are just introductory or fundamental conceptual chapters. And from chapter 4 to 13, total 10 chapters will discuss about 10 knowledge areas. All right. So you see, these are the actually knowledge areas and also the chapter names. So there are 10 chapters from chapter 4 to 13, which each chapter is actually focusing on each knowledge area. All right. So that's why actually number 4. Okay, now see everywhere the project word is there, right? Integration management, project integration, project scope, project schedule. All right. If you see the names of, before saying the names, how do you actually interpret this table? That is very important. Very important. Huh? How will you interpret this table with your day-to-day project management? How? That is very important. So we have seen that every project follow a pattern. What pattern? The pattern is in initiation, we have to do something, some work, some activities, get some approval. Then we do the planning, then execution, then monitoring, controlling, and finally closing. So these are the pattern. This is the pattern that every project follows. All right. So when you are interpreting this table for practical project management, I am talking about practical project management. So far, I talk about how the book is organized. right? 10 knowledge area, that means 10 chapters. But in practical life, how do you apply this table, these processes in your practical project management? So that concept, that interpretation is very critical to understand PMBOK. So when you will do the initiation type of initiation, when you will be in your initiation stage of your project, any project you are doing, when you will be in any initiation stage, any question? No. So when you will be in initiation stage, then you have to do two processes. One is 4.1, other one is 13.1. All right. When you will be in planning process, when you will be in planning in your project, the project you are doing, then you have to, what you need to do?
All the
To
10
do all the 24 processes of the planning process group. Then when you will be in the execution of your project, you have to follow, you have to execute these 10 processes. And when you will do monitoring and controlling of your project, then you have to execute these 12 processes. All right. And at the end stage, at the last stage, when you are doing the closing, then one process, only one process you have to do. That one process is close project or phase. Understand? This is very, very important concept. When you are doing initiation, practically initiation in your project, you have to do these two processes vertically. When you are in planning stage, vertically, you have to do these 24 processes. Then in execution, 10 processes. In monitoring and controlling, which actually starts from the beginning and end at the end of the project, then you have to do these 12 processes. And finally, when you will close the project, you have to do one process that is known as close project or phase. So this is the first concept. All right. Any question here?
I have a question, please.
Yes.
In the execution process group, there is no process under project scope management or project scheduling management, right? But in the execution, don't we need the project scope or project scheduling activities as an input?
You will use that as input, but there is no process. Okay, there is no process, but you will get all planning process input you will get here. In execution, you will see everywhere you will get the inputs.
We are seeing here there is no process, but in reality, don't we use the process of the project scope management or project scheduling management or project cost management?
That will not be required. We will do the planning and execution. Let me actually complete the discussion. Then actually, I think you will understand. All right. So first thing, what we have learned that generally, this is generally I am saying, not everywhere that is actually correct. So generally, in initiation, you have to do this two process, planning this 24 and execution 10 and monitoring control 12 and closing 1. And the sequence, I am saying vertically, but it doesn't mean you have to do sequentially. There is no mention of sequence. What sequence you will do the process, that is not mentioned in PMBOK. That you have to identify by yourself, by your team. All right, using your expert judgment. So that sequencing is not discussed in PMBOK. I am talking about a general sequence. All right. Now, if you see the knowledge areas, only integration management is the knowledge area where there are one or more processes that covers all the process groups. Have you seen this? Only integration management is the knowledge area which having in every process groups one or more processes. In other knowledge areas, you are not seeing this. For example, in a scope, only 2 process area covers, but 3 are blank, right? In schedule, 3 are blank, right? You see, in finally, in project stakeholder management, this is blank. But here in integration management, in every process group, there are 1 or more processes in every process groups. You have seen this? Okay, so this is second point I am talking. So integration management is only the knowledge area which actually touch every process groups, but other cases it is not seen. Next, if you see third point is if you see the name of the processes. The name of the processes, if you closely monitor, closely see, what you will see, every process start with verb. Have you seen that? Every process started with verb, and not only verb, this is action verb. What does it mean? That means these processes are not for just only reading or understanding. When you will do the practical project, you have to do the action. You have to complete the process. So that's why every process starts with the name of action, with a word, with action verb. Say develop project chapter, develop. See, plan scope management, plan schedule, direct and manage project work, right? See, control schedule, manage quality. So what we are seeing, everywhere action verb is used. All right. To give emphasis, as a project manager, project team, you have to execute all these 49 processes. Number four thing is you see in closing, in close project or phase, there is a word, you see, or phase. Have you seen or phase? Close project or phase. I have explained that there is what is the relation between process groups and phases. One phase can have these 5 process groups once, right? Again, in second phase, again, initiation, planning, monitoring, control, closing can happen. That I explained earlier, right? Before the break. So that's why or phase. That means these 5 processes can be in a single phase. Not that in the total project, only these 5 process group will happen once. It can repeat. So that's why the term is not only close project or phase. So if you are doing a big project and you have divided that big project in different big phases, then this 5 process group can happen for independently for different phases. Number 5 concept is the processes we are seeing here, 49 processes. These 49 processes is not mandatory for every project. What does it mean? That means PMBOK actually promoting that you have to be process oriented, but it doesn't matter. It is not required that if in every project you will have to use all these processes. All right. Maybe, for example, you are doing a software project. Sadman is here, who is usually do software project. So in software project, maybe procurement is not there. You are not procuring anything for your project, maybe. All right. You are using the open source things. So if there is no procurement, no purchasing, then these 3 processes you will not require to complete your project. All right. So this is number 5 concept. Number 6 concept is there is no guideline that one process will happen only once in a project. All right. So same process can repeat or iterative iteration can happen for some processes. All right. So only once you have to use one process out of this 49 process, that is not mandatory. That is not necessary. Depending on your project, you may repeatedly use a process different times. Okay? For example, you have three lot of procurements. One is you are procuring some material, procuring some resource, people, and maybe you are procuring some work. So each time these three processes will repeat. Iteration will happen. All right. Number 7 process is, for example, let me give you a practical example. When we do process, what happens? The output of one process, we can use that output as input for the next process. Usually it happens, right? So here also we will see every project's process will have ITTO, inputs to text and output, and one output can be used as input to fire up or begin or start up another process. All right, so that is another concept. Where output from one process can be input of different processes, different multiple processes. For example, if you see project charter, this project charter we will see will be used in 24 places as input. All right. Okay. Next concept that I need to discuss here, that is, if you see here closely, are you with me, guys?
Yeah.
So far? Okay. So if you closely here, see project scope management. If you see in under project scope management, how many processes are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6. In integration 7, right?
Yes.
Then here 6. Then cost 4, 3,
3,
6, 3.
6.
So in this way, if you write this and add up, how many you will get?
49.
49. So whether you add vertically or horizontally, you will get 49 processes,
49.
right? Okay. So let me explain one thing. If you closely look at here in project cost management, and if you see closely these 4 processes, plan cost management, estimate cost, determine budget, control cost, all are talking about what? Project budget or cost, right?
Yes.
Right. Then when we are talking about quality, so this process is actually talking about quality of the project. All right. So I am actually going to show you a very important concept here. When we are talking about communication, it is actually talking about all 3 processes are focused on the communication part of the project. Now let me show you what is happening here. We know that integration management is the process which actually integrates everything, right? Unified everything, coordinate and communicate between every activities, every processes of the project management processes of the project.
Integrate all the knowledge areas.
What did you say?
Integration management, project integration management, it integrates and it utilizes all the knowledge areas.
Yeah, right. You are right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you see the name, develop project charter. Project charter means what? That will actually official document which will approve your project to start. This is the official document, project charter. So this process is talking about the whole project. Project charter is about what? About the whole project. So if you see the process of integration management, you will see that is not talking about only this knowledge area. It is actually covering all the processes of under this. Under this means When we are talking about develop project management plan, that means it is talking about the whole project management plan. That includes all these 23 plan also. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Develop project management plan means it is integrating all the plans under these planning process groups. So that's why it is known as integration, process of integration management. Then direct and managed project work. It is under execution. Direct and managed project work. That is not, it is not only talking about direct and project integration work. It is talking about direct and managed project work. That means it is talking about all the works, all the activities of the project. So if we see closely, all the processes of integration management is actually covering a scope of all the processes. Each and every processes of integration management is the whole project, not only the knowledge area. Manage project knowledge, that means it is talking about the whole project's knowledge management. Monitor and control project work, that means it will talking about monitoring, controlling of the whole project work, and also integrating with all these 11, not 11, 10. Right, 11 processes. Direct and manage project work, it is actually directing and managing project work, following the plan, also integrating all other 9 processes. All right. And perform integrated change control. Have you seen this? There is a word integrated. That means if there is any change happens while we are going to do the execution, if any change comes about scope, about budget or planning, that should go through this perform integrated change control process. Without following this process, you cannot do any change in PMBOK. That's why this process is very important process for change management. So in PMBOK, any change you do, you have to follow this perform integrated change control process. And finally, when we are talking about close project or phase, that is not only closing the integration, that is actually closing all the opening, all the parts of all the knowledge areas, all the processes. It is closing everything. All right, you cannot close only closing the scope part or integration part. You have to close everything of the project. So that is the scope of closed project or phase. So that's why if you see the names of these knowledge areas processes, you will find that it is actually not talking about only integration management. This knowledge area, it is actually covering the whole of the projects. All right. And this is actually obvious because integration management is the knowledge area which actually unifies, coordinate, communicate, and manages everything of the project. All right. So anything left here?
Shahid bhai.
Question, yes, please.
If we see the planning process group, we have 24 processes. So except one under the 4.2 develop project management plan. I mean the output is project management plan. So all remaining 23 is the part of project management plan.
Yes, yes, you are right. Not only this 23, you will see some additional part also.
Okay.
That will I discuss.
Okay.
So all 23, even all this 23 is known as subsidiary plan of project management plan. All right, all these are known as subsidiary plan of project management plan. So PMP, project management plan, is the biggest document of PMBOK. It covers 24 processes.
Is there any more subsidiary plan under the project management plan?
Yes.
Is there any other?
Yeah. Yes.
Why these are not? But why these are not included in the planning process group?
That is under planning process group, but there is no separate processes for that, for creating that plan. All right. For example, change management plan. configuration management plan. So these two planning documents will be created here when we will create the develop project management plan. Then that two documents will be created. But other, say, scope management plan, then WBS, project schedule, cost, other will be created here. All right. But these two, I will talk later on this. These two will be created through this process only. There is no separate process for this.
Okay, can you repeat please the separate process? Separate two?
There are two additional process planning document will be created here. One is change management plan, and the one is configuration management plan. This document, these two documents is not created in any other knowledge areas. It will be created here. When we will do this, we will create these two planning also.
Okay, thank you.
Planning documents. Okay, so anybody else have any question? Because this is the core of the PMBOK. If you have any question, you can ask me now.
আগে একটু পড়ে নেই ভাইয়া, তারপরে নেক্সট ক্লাসে কোশ্চেন করতে পারবো।
Okay, good. হ্যাঁ, নাসির ভাই বলুন।
জি, 49 processes. The thing is like each of the processes does follow some flow, right? They follow some flow. The pictorial here or the graphic, the table here, in order to develop the concept, I think it can be represented not in this fashion, rather in a cycle fashion, or like different pictorial can be given, because those who are beginner, this table format may not be comprehensible at the initial stage, but later on when they get to know the details, then they can only relate. So is there any other way to represent this table, or this is the only one way to represent this table, this 49 processes? And
in YouTube you will see some people or some trainers try to relate all the processes and try to show the flow. But actually PMBOK actually is a standard, not a methodology. Methodology means not a framework, that if you follow the framework, you can execute the project. This is actually try to mention and cover everything, but that actually not give you a certain path that you have to follow this path. So that's why that flow is not mentioned directly, how these 49 processes are flowed or followed or sequenced. And the sequence is not actually true same for every project. So that's why PMBOK actually not give that relationship and that flow or data flow diagram for that total covering the 59 processes. But for each process, if you already read PMBOK, you see for each process you will see data flow diagram, right?
Yeah.
So if you can combine those data flow diagrams, you can get the understanding of the total flow of these 49 processes. But that is not actually separately measured in PMBOK. There is not a single figure in PMBOK. But for separate process, you will get the data flow diagram.
Okay.
So in my class, actually, I will cover 10 to 12 process flows, how they are related. There are some important process flow that you need to understand for your clearing your PMP exam, and also understand the PMBOK concept. So I will discuss about those 10 flows. That will not cover all the 49 processes, but some important part of these 49 processes.
Okay.
Ji. Bolin.
As you have mentioned that this is not mandatory to follow the sequence of the processes, but is it mandatory to follow the knowledge area sequentially?
No. That can be overlap. Can overlap.
Can overlap.
Every processes, every knowledge area can overlap.
Okay.
All right. So about sequencing, there is nothing mentioned in PMBOK. So that is upon your discretion, upon your team's discretion. How do you prefer? All right. So these are some slides that is not important because I have already discussed about this. When we are doing integration management, develop project charter, this arrow is showing when we will do develop project charter, at the same time, vertically you have to integrate another process, right? Identify stakeholders. This one. Develop project charter, you have to integrate also identify stakeholders, right? Similarly, when you will do develop project management plan, you have to also integrate 23 processes, right? These are the 23 processes of different knowledge areas. So these, if you see this rectangle ash area, that is actually mentioning the knowledge area, name of the knowledge area. And inside the knowledge area, what are the processes this develop process management plan is integrating, that is mentioned here. So you will, if you count this, you will see 23, right? So this thing actually, develop project management plan is integrating other 20 processes vertically of this planning process group. Similarly, when you are doing direct and managed project work and managed project knowledge, these two will actually integrate other 8 processes of execution process groups. And monitor and control project work and performance indications control, that will also integrate other 10 processes of monitoring and control process group. And when we are doing closing, that will actually close every open end of the project. Nothing will be open after completing this process. Okay, now let me discuss about one new concept. One new concept. So let me give you an example. Say I am talking about 27 age, right? Then average, then Spain, then World Cup 2010. So if I discretely mention all these numbers and strings or words, then it is known as data, right?
Right.
Right. So that data means there is no context, there is no relation. But what is information? When we are making data in context, then it is information. If I say, using this word, if I say Spain become the world champion in 2010 and their team's average age was 27, that is what? That is information, right?
Right.
What is knowledge? Knowledge means more than information, right? More than information. Classical example from this data and information, if I want to convert this as knowledge, so from the research we have seen, from the statistics we have seen, the team which has become champion from first World Cup happened when? First World Cup, Football World Cup. Can anyone say? First World Cup, in which year?
1930.
1936.
No, 30. Italy was the champion in 1930. So
1930.
30, that is the first one. All right. just take for example 1932. Last World Cup was 2018, right? So researching on these champion teams, different teams are champion in different World Cups. So researching on those champion teams, what we have found that the teams which has average age of 27 to 28, they actually become champion in the World Cup. All right. So that is actually knowledge. That means the average age of 27 to 28, this average, the team which is consist of this average age, players age, they are actually become champion in the World Cups. So that is the knowledge, right? So what will do if you are become the coach of Italy? What will be your target? You will take the all players or try to make your team so that the average age of your team becomes 27 to 28.
Of course, to become 27 to 28.
Right. So that is the knowledge. And as a coach, you will use that knowledge, applying your wisdom, you will make your team so that they can become champion. So you cannot actually, wisdom cannot be captured. All right. But people can capture data, information, and some part of knowledge. Which part? Knowledge is two types. Can anyone say? There are two types of knowledge. What are the types? Can anyone say there are two types of knowledge?
Maybe
Knowledge
theoretical.
can be divided in two types. Huh?
I don't know, maybe theoretical and practical.
That's right. So one is explicit, one is explicit knowledge, which can be easily expressed or communicated with or documented. That is explicit knowledge. Another one is tacit knowledge, T-A-C-I-T. Tacit knowledge means what actually cannot convey to others easily. You cannot document easily. That is not tacit knowledge. Let me give you an example. আমি এটা বাংলা একটা ইয়া করি, হ্যাঁ, যে আমি এটা অঙ্ক ধরবো আপনাদের, হ্যাঁ, অঙ্ক। শুভাঙ্করের ফাঁকি যে কে পারে, হ্যাঁ, শুভাঙ্করের ফাঁকি থাপ্পড় থেকে চিমটি গেলে থাকে কত বাকি? প্রশ্ন কি শোনা গেছে?
Repeat please.
শুভঙ্করের ফাঁকি থাপ্পড় থেকে চিমটি গেলে থাকে কত বাকি? কেউ পারবেন? কি মেয়েরা তো চিমটি কাটে, মৌ তো পারা উচিত। আর ছেলেরা থাপ্পড় মারে নাকি? থাপ্পড় দিতে আমরা কয়টা আঙ্গুল ইউজ করি? 5। এখন বলেন অ্যানসার কি হবে?
তিনটা থাকে স্যার।
তিনটা। চিমটি দিতে আমরা দুইটা আঙ্গুল নরমালি ইউজ করি, দুইটা। So 5 minus 2 equal to 3. 5 minus 2 equal to this 3. Right? So দেখেন মানে আমরা কিন্তু ওই যে একটু মানে হিন্টস দেওয়ার পরে পেয়ে গেলাম, তাই না? সো এইটা মানে ট্যাসিট নলেজ, হ্যাঁ, মানে আপনি হুট করে ইয়া করতে পারবেন না। দেখবেন যে ওয়ান সলিউশন ইউ মে টেক অনলি 5 minutes, but that মানে one problem you are solving within 5 minutes, but the same problem it will take 1 day for one guy. So if you can capture the tacit knowledge, how the person who is doing the job or problem within 5 minutes, that means he is following some algorithm, or he is actually seeing the things differently than the guy who is actually taking full 1 day. So if you can convert that tacit knowledge to explicit knowledge and teach that guy, then that guy can also do the same thing within, maybe not within 5 minutes, maybe within 30 minutes. So that's why actually knowledge can enhance our skills. So that's why we are talking about knowledge. So much of talking about knowledge. And we are now living in knowledge economy, right? All right. So what is the relation between this data, information, and knowledge with the PMBOK?
What is wisdom?
Wisdom actually more than knowledge. That is actually come from your experience, then your competency and other God-given things. That is the wisdom actually. My video is stuck. Can you listen me? Can you?
Yes, listening.
Okay, video is whatever. Okay. In PMBOK, we will see three terms. One is work performance data, one is work performance information, and one is work performance report. The classical example of knowledge that we use day to day in our day-to-day office life is report. Report is not only information, it is actually more than information. So report is the classical example of knowledge. Okay. So in these three terms, work purpose data, work purpose information, and work purpose report. We will see in PMBOK, in most probably in all processes, you will see this coming again and again. So what we understand here, data is actually
numerical.
Numerical or what type, then that actually convert to information, and finally report. And data in project, what happens at the lower level, people are focus on data. How much, how many bag of cement used today? How many laborers work today? So then we make it information to communicate with our senior people. And that information also, we weekly or monthly, we create reports for our higher management, for our steering committee, for higher authority or sponsor, so that they can understand what is happening in the project. So they are not actually focusing on data, they are focusing on report. So we will see how these are related to different processes of PMBOK and different concepts of PMBOK. Just keep in mind, I will discuss later when I will see this in frequently in different processes. And
does data can be measured by qualitatively? Does data can be measured qualitatively?
Yes, of course. If you give wrong data, then everything will be wrong. So data should be qualityful. This thing I will not explain now because you will not understand this. I think after completing our lectures at the later stage, you will understand this. And so I am not discussing this here. So this is actually relation between the data, information, and reports. All right. So I will not discuss this now. You will understand this later on. Now, last point is tailoring. Tailoring. Have you seen there is scissor, then tape, and some clothes?
Yes.
And also some
Clothes.
So what does a tailor do?
টেলর করে স্যার যে যার যেরকম রিকোয়ারমেন্ট সেরকম অনুযায়ী তাকে বানায় দেয় সেরকম।
Great.
At first, take measurement.
Measurement. All right.
Customize as required.
Okay.
To customize as required.
Yes, yes. Everything is correct. So tailor what does? They actually take the measurement, and as per the requirement of the customer, he actually get shirt or Punjabi or t-shirt, anything the customer wants, right? So, but if you see the clothes are the same, right?
Yes.
But from this cloth, you can, as per the requirement of the customer, you can make Punjabi or t-shirt or fotua or shirt for a customer. Same cloth. Again, with this same cloth, you can make different things. Again, using the same cloth, maybe you can create dress for the girls also, women also, right? Yes. So clothes are the same, but based on the requirement, you are tailoring. As a tailor, you are tailoring as per the requirement of your customer. So what does it tailoring means? Tailoring means you are actually, what you are doing? You are actually based on your project requirements, based on your industry. That I mentioned earlier, that you are not, PMBOK is not actually forcing you to apply 49 processes simultaneously, similarly, every degree of detail in every project. Based on your requirement, based on your size of your project, complexity of project, based on your industry, you can tailor. You can always tailor the processes. How many processes you are going to use, how detailed you are going to use the each and every process. For a small project, you may use 1 or 3 page planning document. But for a Podda project, like live project, the planning document will be thousands of pages, right? So it will depend upon your type of project you are doing, size of project you are doing, and based on your requirement. So as per the requirement, you will tailor 49 processes, knowledge areas, and 5 process groups. There is no hard line about this that you have to use everything as mentioned in the PMBOK. So this is known as tailoring. So before starting the project with your expert team, you have to tailor how detailed you are going to use all the processes, or whether you will use all the processes, or maybe you will avoid some processes. So that is not a problem. You have always the opportunity to tailor the processes, the knowledge areas as per your requirement. All right, so let me now talk about 2 business documents that we mentioned earlier, right? So these 2 business documents, project business case and benefits management plan, right? So what I mentioned, these documents are created at pre-project phase, not project phase, before the project, right? Before the project. So there is a good definition of these 2. I am not reading out here. So I am just going to explain what is business case. Business case is the justification of the project, feasibility study of the project, why we are going to do the project. So that is mentioned here, that is written here. And in every organization, especially private sector, without the approval of business case, project will not be initiated in any organization. So before the project initiates, the business case should be approved by the sponsor. And what is benefit management plan? Benefit management plan is, in business case, I have mentioned that these are the benefits I am going to get. So in benefits management plan, how I am going to achieve the benefits, when I am going to achieve the benefit, and who will realize the benefit, that will be mentioned in benefits management plan. All right. So these 2 documents you have to have in your hand before starting the project.
Can I have a question?
Yes, please.
Who will be responsible or accountable for preparing this document? Project management team or management? Project management team is not yet there. So it is the responsibility, maybe the higher management.
Yes, you're right. So that is not the responsibility. Please remember, business case and benefit management plan is not the responsibility of project team, because project team is not created at the time. So it is the responsibility of the business itself, or the management itself. And if you have experience, you will know, most probably Nasser Bhai knows, that in every organization, big organizations, there is a separate department who actually work with these business cases. They ask business cases from different departments at the middle of the year. For next year, they collect all the business case. Then they actually analyze the business case. And one solid team, especially from finance background and business background, they actually do this work. They help to create the business case, and they help to approve the business case. All right. So this is not the responsibility of the project team.
Yes, all the cross-functional people basically join in and take the lead.
Right. Yes, right. So this is the usual practice in the big enterprises. So this picture will clearly explain when the business documents are prepared. Anything?
I have a question, please.
Please.
Is the business case is the business benefit management plan part of business case? Because there is an arrow linked with under sequentially. Need assessment, under the need assessment, the business case, under the business case, the benefit management plan. So yes, is there any sequential relationship?
I have actually not explained this figure yet. Huh? Let me explain first.
Okay.
Okay. So first you need to understand this is project life cycle. Starting the project, that means beginning or initiation, organizing and preparing, that is actually planning, right? Carrying out the work, that means what? Execution. Completing the work, that means closing, right? So this is actually general phases of a project life cycle. These are the general terms, right? Starting, organizing, carrying out, that means execution, and completing. And as we mentioned earlier, after each phase, you will see the phase gate, right? Phase gate. All these are phase gate. Okay. And these 4 phases are generic phase, because I mentioned that phase actually differs about the industry or the project you are doing. It is different names. There are different names in different industries. What is important here, these business case and benefits management plan, you have to create before pre-project phase. That means project has not started yet. So this is no way the responsibility of the project team. This is the responsibility of the business. All right. And from needs assessment or feasibility study, we write the business case. All right. And I will discuss in later slides what are the contents of business case. And at the same time, taking some input from the business case, that will actually work 2 and 4, will create the benefits management plan at the same time. That means before starting the project, this document should be in your hand. This approved document should be in your hand. This is important. All right. Okay, now let me discuss about what are the generic content of business case. You will see a lot of organizations are using different templates for business case. PMBOK actually not showing any template of business case, but I have shared a book with you. Can you remember? I have shared a book, template book with you. Cynthia Stackpole, Forms, Project Management Forms, Book of Forms. Have you got the book?
Which book, please?
I have shared 4 or 5 books with you after the first class. This book, PMBOK Book of Forms.
No.
Have anyone seen this book?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
I should have forwarded in the, let me check, in WhatsApp. No?
No, sir.
Oh, not share. All right. I have shared the PMBOK, right?
Yes,
I
yes.
have
Only
shared the
PMBOK.
PMBOK and presenter slide. All right. Let me share this book also with you. Yeah. So this is a great book. This is published by PMI. So the templates, the project documents, the business documents, I will mention in PMBOK. I will teach you in the class. You will get the template from this book. So if you see the book and see the template, then you will understand a lot of things. So my recommendation is, when I am talking about a template, so that most of the templates are not mentioned. What will be the content or what will be the shape or form of the template, that is not mentioned in PMBOK. All right. So if you see this book and visit or explore that template, that form, that you will understand what that document looks like. So that will give you a solid chance to understand what actually PMBOK focusing on. So, and also this book and these templates you can use for your practical project management. All right. And I am going to share with you another book, that is this one. So this is the book. This is also published by PMI. Question and answers for the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. So for every chapter, you will get 15 to 20 or even 25 questions against each chapter. So after covering a chapter, I will request you to solve the questions from this chapter, from this book. All right. And there is answer also, but don't see the answer first. First give the, try yourself, then see the answers. Okay.
This
So,
reference book,
yeah. Huh? What?
is this a reference book, business analysis for practitioner?
Yeah. Oh, this one. You're talking about this one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And that is a reference.
Okay.
Okay. Let me first discuss usually what you see in business case document. The content of business case. First is business needs.
Shahid bhai,
Yes.
before coming here, may I go back to previous one, please? I have one question there. Just
please.
Previous.
This one?
Yeah. You have mentioned in the timeline, phase gate. Actually, is this phase gate or milestone in the timeline frame?
Phase gate. This is phase gate.
Phase gate.
At the end, phase gate, what is the definition of phase gate? End of the phase. So at the end of the phase, we are doing the activity related to the phase gate.
But you mentioned that the processes are not the phase, but we can see here the process group is starting executing, organizing, starting with initial or planning, organizing means executing, carrying out, executing. So after this process, completion this process, is this a phase actually, or is this a milestone?
Forget about milestone. Milestone is a silly thing. Huh? Very silly. If you don't use milestone, nothing will happen in your 2-year project. But phase is very important. So this is actually a generic phase. If you put here design, if you put here, huh? So what is your confusion? That is not clear to me actually.
Confusion is when we complete a process, that can't be a phase, because
are we completing a process here? I am not talking about process. I am talking about phase. Where have you found completing process? This is a phase. This is a phase.
Okay.
In a phase, there can be lot of processes.
I mean, I am talking about process group actually.
Okay. So, okay. What is the confusion, please?
The confusion is in reality, especially in the construction project, completing, starting the project, or completing, organizing and preparing, or completing, carrying out the work. We don't have the phase like this, because in this phase, we don't have the objective of the project. So when there is an objective achievement in a project, then we call sometimes a phase. And phase also itself can be a project in our case. So
that's why I'm asking. এটা আপনি পরে আমার সাথে কথা বলেন, হ্যাঁ? আমরা এই ক্লাসে যদি এভাবে কথা বলি তাহলে ক্লাস আর হবে না।
ওকে।
আপনার পার্সোনাল যে এটা না, এটা আসলে অন্যদের সাথে যাচ্ছে না। সেটা আপনি আমার সাথে পরে 5 মিনিট 10 মিনিট কথা বলে নিন।
Okay, thank you.
Clear your confusion.
Thank you.
So please, in this class, we will ask those questions which actually generic to everyone, common to everyone. Otherwise, it will actually delay the class. So this is number 3rd lecture, but I have not yet able to complete the first chapter.
Okay, carry on.
All right. Okay. So let me discuss about the business case. What are the content of business case? First one is business need. Why you are going to do the project? That is the business need, right? then analysis of the situation.
Sir, may I ask you a question? Why we need a business case during the project?
Not during the project, before the project. Business case is the justification of the project. Why we are going to do the project? What is the reason? What will be the benefit after doing the project? So that benefit, that justification is defined in the business case. That's why business case is needed.
Sir, may I ask you a question, sir? Sir, during the project, why we need a business case?
I am answering. I already answered the question.
I could not hear it. Maybe. If you please again.
Oh. You have joined the class also late, so.
Yeah, I come late. Yeah. Sorry for being late.
So business case means justification of the project. Justification means why we are doing the project. What are the reasons of doing the project? So if you not have any reason of doing a project, so why will we start the project, right? So business case is an official document that will actually approve and give approval for the project. So if you not having this document, we cannot start the project. All right, Abdullah, now?
I got it, sir. Yes, sir, I got it. Thank you.
And then in business case, what else are there? Analysis of the situation. So based on some situation, we are going to start the project. So is the situation required? Required means must, or desired, should, optional, that means would. When can be a project required? Say government impose something. Nutun law enforcement comes for the industry, for your organization. Then that project is required, right? So that will be mentioned in business case, whether this project is a mass project or desired project or an optional project. Then also, as a business case expert, you have to explore, if you do nothing in this situation, if you do nothing, what wrong will happen to you? What positive or negative thing will happen to you? If you do the minimum, then what are the pros and cons? And do more than the minimum. That means if you do the maximum, then what will happen? What positive things, what value will be created by doing this project? So these analyses also need to include in your business case, so that management can take decision whether they will approve the project or not. And finally, not only the analysis or exploring part will be there, also finally you have to recommend it. You have to give a recommendation based on these and these NPV, this IRR, and these will be the values, these will be the benefits. That's why we need to do the project. So that recommendation you have to have as you are the experts who are dealing with the business case. And evaluation is actually how, especially the NPV part, the financial appraisal part, and how after ending or closing the project, finishing the project, how we will evaluate whether your project has delivered the value that you have targeted at the beginning of your project. So that evaluation criteria should also will be mentioned in the business case. So this is the general structure of business case, but if you want to see detailed structure, the book I have shown you, this one, you can see this one, this book. You will get broader idea from this book. Okay, now any question coming?
Yes, Rajabhai, there could be a scenario where after having the business case, company might defer the project due to the the benefits they would be getting out of this business case. So business case is a fundamental requirement to kick off any process.
Last part distorted. Can you repeat?
So business case is a fundamental requirement of any business undertaking to kick off any projects.
Yes. This is prerequisite.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So everywhere, this is a common practice actually. Without business case and without DPP, you will not get approval of your project.
Yes, exactly.
So what will be the content of benefit management plan? So benefit management plan, the benefits you are showing in business case, that will be mentioned here, target benefits that can be tangible and intangible that we discussed in the first class, tangible value and intangible value. The alignment of the project with your strategy of your organizational strategy, that also should be mentioned here. Time frame for realizing benefits, that means the schedule when the benefits will achieve from this project, short-term and long-term benefits. Then benefits owner, who will be accountable for the realizing the benefit. This is very important. Please remember, project team is not accountable for this realizing this benefit, because after the project complete, the project team will adjourn. They will not be there. So who will take over this? The operation team or other team. So their responsibility is to ensure the benefits. All right. And metrics. If there is any other metrics that you want to measure whether you have achieved your goal or not, that you can also include in this document. Then also you should also add assumption, constraint, and also the risks, because based on assumption and risks, maybe the benefit you are targeting that can be reduced or that can be deferred. So these are the content of benefit management plan. All right, so I think we have next 2 slides. Project success measure. This is very, very important. Project success measure. What happens? There can be some situation like this. Some situation like this. Like this means scope, time, budget, quality. Maybe you have effectively, efficiently finished your project. You made the scope, you meet the time constraint, you meet the budget. Within budget, you have done the project. You have completed the project with the quality. But still, the project is not successful. This can happen. Why? Because the success criteria is not matched with you, with the project team, and with the sponsor. The sponsor is thinking, if I get this much money back, this much NPV I got, or this $1 million if I get, then this project will be successful. But as a project team, you are thinking that if I can complete this project within time, budget, and schedule, that is the success. That will be the success for the project. So as a project management team, and also as a sponsor, they have to combine their goal, what they want to achieve from this project. So you need to give 3 answers, minimum 3 answers you have to have in your hand when you are starting project to measure your project success. What does success looks like for this project? And these 3 questions should be agreed with the sponsor and the project team. How will success be measured? What will be the measurement or metrics for the success of the project? What factors may impact success? All right. And generally, what we use for project success measures, that's generally we use completing benefits management plan, the benefit we have shown in benefit management plan, whether we have achieved that or not. That can be success criteria. Then the NPV, net present value, or return of investment, internal rate of return, payback period, benefit cost ratio, whether these are met or not. by doing the project. If that these are made, then we say the project is successful. And also meeting non-functional objective, whether this output, product or result made the project organizational strategy or not. So these are the additional things we can use as project success measures. But what is the important thing? The important thing is the sponsor and the project team should be aligned with the success matrices. What are the matrices you will use to measure the success of the project? Otherwise, what will happen? There will be always argument. The sponsor will say project is not successful, and as a project team, you may say project is successful. So you have to be aligned at the beginning of the project. What are the matrices you will use for the project success, so that after project finish, you can show that the project was successful.
Shahid bhai, can I have a question?
Yes.
So this project success measures is after completion the project, or is there any preset measures before the project? How can we compare the project has been success?
That will be, you have to set the matrices. You have to set the matrices.
Yeah.
That can be NPV, that can be IRR or other things.
Yeah.
That we actually set when the project started. And these matrices will be where? Will be in business case and benefit management plan, right?
Yeah.
So when the project will be completed, even in the benefit management plan, not always after finishing of the project, you will get the benefit. In some project, you may get benefit in different phases of the project. All right.
Right.
So, and that will be mentioned here in benefit management plan. So if you can show that in evaluation time, if you can show that you have made what is mentioned in benefit management plan, then the project will be successful. All right.
Right.
Okay.
So we have to compare, yeah?
Yes, you have to evaluate and compare.
Okay.
And if you see, before just finishing, if you can remember this picture, very easy, this one. Business value realization. So you have to performance analyze, you have to analyze performance. All right. Whether your project, you have got the benefit or not. So always you have to evaluate. Otherwise, no point to do the project if you cannot measure, right? Okay, last question. This is the question. Is it possible for a project to be successful from a scope, schedule, budget viewpoint and to be unsuccessful from a business viewpoint?
No.
What will be the answer?
No, because the project will not be successful because it doesn't meet the business viewpoint. Business strategy.
Yes, right. So there is two part in this question. Maybe what that I have already mentioned, we have complete the project within the scope completed, within budget, within time, within achieve the quality, but actually fail to achieve the business value, gain the business value. Then we cannot say the project is successful, right? Because from the first beginning of the chapter we are talking, that project is initiated for adding or creating business value. So if the business value is not created, then actually project is not successful. So that this is very important concept. To make a project successful, you have to meet the business value. One last point I want to discuss. Can anyone say business case we are setting when? At the pre-project stage, right? Pre-project stage.
Yeah.
Pre-project. But at any time, say we are doing initiation, we are doing planning, we are executing. At any stage, if business case shows that it is not valid, at this point, we are seeing that business case is not valid, no more valid. Then what we will do? Will you proceed the project or will you kill the project, finish the project?
Maybe there should have some changes or modification in the business case. So far I know, because if we forward, the project can be failed.
Right. Right. This is very important. Huh? This is very important. So business case is not a static document, but in PMBOK actually it doesn't mention about the updating about the business case, but in real scenario, if you see the targeted business value is not possible to gain, then better you update the business case after every phase or after every important milestone. You need to check and balance your business case, whether business case is still appropriate or not. If not, then you have to update your business case, or maybe the worst case scenario, you have to stop the project because you are no way you are going to achieve the value from the business case. Okay.
Who will request to the management, project manager, or to change the business case?
This is not actually mentioned in PMBOK. Even updating of the business case also not mentioned in PMBOK. All right. So
because business case actually approved by the management. So project manager can request to the business management. Right. Otherwise, can he upgrade or not?
No, he cannot update. He will ask the management, then management will decide. But this is not part of PMBOK actually. In PMBOK, there is no discussion about business case update. All right, so we have finished the first chapter, right? If you have any question, you can ask me. Otherwise, class is finished. So our next class will be on Thursday at the same time at 7 p.m. All right. So I will be here for 5 minutes. You can ask me any question that you want. Otherwise, class is finished. আচ্ছা
জি ভাই
হ্যাঁ মাসুদ ভাই বলেন
এখন মানে আমি তো পুরো পিএমবক এখন রিডিং করিনি আমি রিডিং আমার পুরো